4 months ago, I started a project to see how many native species I could stock into a regular swimming pool. And now, after a quarter of a year, the ecosystem is absolutely thriving with a couple dozen different species of fish. But the colder months are coming quick, so we have to make a few changes by adding a few new species of plants and working on getting some more bait species for these fish to eat. So we're going to be catching as many different types of bait as we can to see what these fish prefer. That way we can see what we need to focus on for this winter time. So we're going to be doing some fish trapping and dip netting to catch a few different fish. And you guys are in for a treat because we've been having a nighttime critter that's been terrorizing my dog food. And today we're going to terrorize him back. And of course, we've got plenty of that awesome underwater footage and underwater feeding footage that you're not going to want to miss. We've got all that and so much more today on Toxin Custom Outdoors. All right, so this is where we left off last time on the pool pond. We've got our beautiful island. Those flowers are still in bloom. I imagine by the end of this video, they will no longer be because fall is rapidly approaching. We've got our red ear sunfish right there, our red spots, our bluegill, our bass. All the fish seem to be doing pretty good at this point. This lily pad is starting to die off. I'm not sure what the problem is. It has been separated from these other things. So maybe it's just nearing the end of its life cycle. Maybe it's because the year is kind of coming to an end and we're starting to get to colder weather. Like right now, it is nice and cool, good breeze. That fall weather is definitely kicking in. So maybe these plants are dying off for that reason, but we can't have that happening. So I'm about to head out to go get some new plants for this pool pond and some new types of lily pads. All right, so I just pulled up to my aunt's house. And oh my goodness, she was not kidding. These lily pads have completely taken over. So hopefully we'll be able to put at least something of a dent in here. And luckily I won't have to worry about them spreading like this because I'm gonna have them potted in my pool pond. But I mean, you guys gotta see this. There are lily pads completely covering the surface here. I mean, it is bad, look at that. I don't know if you could even get a fishing lure across there without getting stuck. That's insane. All right, I have no clue how deep it is here, but this is the before. I'll show you guys a nice look after when I'm done. I'm probably not gonna be able to get all of it, and by probably, I mean, I'm definitely not gonna be able to get all of it, but we're gonna do our best to make sure this thing is nice and cleaned up. And I guess it's time for us to get in the water. When my aunt told me that this pond was infested with lily pads, I kind of didn't expect it to be this bad. And these guys are absolutely clumped together and they're tough to remove. I'll show you why here in a second. All of these things are interconnected into a giant system that is super hard to pull out. So the toughest part about removing these is it's not just one root ball. It's basically a long cord that is super thick. This is actually one of the thin ones. Down here, this is normally the size they are. And as you can see, that is a hefty chunk. It puts all these roots down to anchor it in. So this stuff has been very difficult to remove. Here you can see it actually split in a couple parts, but this is buried under that water. And each of these spots has the potential to shoot up a new set of lily pads. So no matter how many of these things I pull out, they're just gonna keep coming back. So this is gonna be a recurring problem, unfortunately. I don't know of any solutions to completely curb this other than going in there and pulling out every one of these. This one right here, this little triple piece, it probably took me about 5 or 6 minutes to unearth. So maybe I need to bring a knife with me next time. For the next hour and a half, I kept working to remove as many of these as possible. I knew I only needed one, but if I was going to come out here, I wanted to do as much work as possible to try and clear this up. The ducks were watching and kind of confused at what I was doing, and then my son saw the ducks and started chasing them. But after about an hour and a half, I decided to wrap things up and head back home. Okay, after about an hour and some change of working, we have barely made any headway in this thing. I mean, we got a lot more, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to do all of this today, at least not without some tools to cut those rhizomes. As you can see, I've been pulling them up by the roots, but they get tough when they're deeper in that water. I mean, we've got some that are football sized here, and they are massive, just buried down in that mud. So it has been back-breaking. You can see the entire bank is covered in lily pads, but we're only gonna take one clump home for the pool pond, and maybe we'll come back out here, stock some bass in here, clean this up. If that's something you guys would like to see on the channel, let me know in the comments down below. For now, we're gonna grab us a plant and head home. When I first started this pool pond, I wanted it to have as much biodiversity as possible, which means as many species of plants and fish and other little critters as possible. And right now, I'm really lacking in the plant department, so that's something I'm working on. But I'm also lacking in the bait fish populations, so that's another thing I want to target in this video and the next couple of videos. Last time we were focused a lot on adding new structure and some new types of fish, but in this video, we're going to be kind of also working on getting stuff ready for the winter and the colder months, because let's be honest, fish aren't usually in this small of a system in the cold months, so I got to make sure I have as much stuff prepared as possible so these fish can survive the cold, harsh winter. And I say that pretty jokingly because down here in the south, we don't have that harsh of a winter, so there's not too much I have to do, but there is some things that I do want to plan for. But before we do any of that, I want to give you guys a quick underwater look at all the structures and how that algae has kind of started to change it since you saw it in the last video. The algae is starting to coat all the rocks, driftwood, and other plants, and so it's starting to make everything look aged and kind of like this alien underwater city. Even with all the new structures, the middle section that's been there since day one is still a favorite spot for all the fish. Here in a second, you'll actually see a catfish hanging out in the bottom. All of the cattails are starting to kind of slowly die off, but they're still putting out a lot of roots and different cover for smaller fish, and it still looks absolutely stunning. Over here by the underwater crate, the amphibia and catfish are still kind of occupying that area. That seems to be their favorite spot. That thing that looks like a stick in the middle, that's the amphibia, and you can kind of see the catfish down there at the bottom. But these guys just love this one little spot. And if you look over here, back in the middle from the side view, you'll actually see our bass Pickle using the cinder block as his little piece of cover, and you can see how much algae has built up all around these plant pots. Over here in the concrete too, we got that same catfish that's been living in it. I think he's kind of claimed this as his home, and you guys will have to see him later. He is fat. He's been eating really well, and we got to get a funny name for him because he is chunky. It would appear that the pool pond has finally reached a good balance. You can see all the way to the bottom very clearly. All these fish are super crystal clear in this water. And it looks like the snails, crawfish, and other critters that we've added have actually done a good job at keeping the algae under control. You can actually see the little bit of algae starting to gather on the wood. It's a lot clearer in the underwater footage, but all the new driftwood and new structures that we've added has started to get a little bit of algae growth on it. And if you look over here, this is those lily pads that we just recently added. I did have to take the tops off because they were kind of dead from transport, but if you look down, you can see a very healthy one coming up right behind it. You can also see some of those beautiful yellow flowers starting, and on this one, you can see a flower that's about to start coming out of the water right there. But the one thing I wanted to add from the last video was a whole lot of crawfish. So today, our main goal is to fill this pool pond up with tons of different critters that'll be able to use this new cover that we added. So that's gonna be shrimp, minnows, maybe some creek chubs, some crawfish, whatever we can get our hands on. I am gonna add a bog filter in the wintertime, most likely. That way we have another form of filtration and a little bit better of a filter. But for now, I think we're gonna focus on bait fish. And if we're adding bait, you know what that means. There's gonna be a ton of awesome feeding footage to watch all these different species and their different feeding habits. One of the biggest requests you guys have given me is to feed a frog. So this one was actually brought in the house by my cats. So I'm not sure how alive it is, but we're gonna go ahead and feed it to the pool pond fish. Now, I had planned on going out and catching a whole bunch of bait fish and things like that, but hunting season came along, got me distracted, and it's been a couple weeks, so I'm going to fast forward about 2 weeks later to show you how the pool pond looks now. With winter coming soon, I'm trying to train these guys to eat pellets, but a lot of the time they'll grab it and spit it right back out. And that wouldn't be too much of a problem training them, but the problem is every time I've done this, we've had a lot of them end up just falling to the bottom uneaten. And that ends up getting a really bad, nasty thing in the water. It spikes up the nutrients, makes the algae bloom, and then it gets the water really nasty. So I don't want that. So instead, I am going to continue feeding these guys pellets until they start to eat them. But I'm also going to get a major upgrade to our cleanup crew by hopefully going out and catching a ton of crawfish. But as you can see, every once in a while they'll eat one, but normally they spit it out. It looks like the bass might have eaten one just now. If I can train them to eat this is a much cheaper and easier to get meal for them. However, I am still going to try and introduce some natural foods like crickets, grasshoppers, shiners, things like that. It's just they're a lot harder to find in the wintertime. It is really cool to see that the water is cleared up pretty good. You can see that all this down here is getting covered in algae. We got the shell piles over here. Now, the sad part is our lily pads are starting to decline. So we have no more lily pads left on that other pot, and this one's got one tiny leaf left. I don't think it's gonna last through the winter, which is kind of natural. They normally die during the winter and then come back up during the spring. These ones right here, they might be year round. I'm not entirely sure. They do seem to have slowed down on their growth, but they have not stopped by any means. You see the two bass chasing each other around over there. But if we can get the fish to eat these, that would be awesome. It's gonna save us a lot of money on food, and it's just a lot easier to feed them this than to go out and catch a bunch of shiners or buy a bunch of shiners, earthworms, things like that. So that's what we're gonna try and do. And then we might have to find some plants that are gonna be winter hardy as well. But for now, the fish are gonna be slowing down as winter comes. So we're trying to get this pond as ready as possible for the winter time and those colder months. Oh, he just shot off. The gar was laying in that pot from the potted plant. For a second, it looked like a snake. Oh, there he is, there he is. This is the first time I've seen the gar in the daytime. Oh, he's right below us. He's right hugging against the bottom. Oh, I don't know if you guys could see him, but there's our gar. The name that ended up being chosen was Gargoyle. So the gar's name is Gargoyle, and that's what we ended up settling with. You can see our island is doing great. Our driftwood pile over here is doing good. One of the pieces of driftwood actually fell out and landed on the bottom, but the water's really cold, so I'm not about to get in this water just to fix that. But anyways, let's go ahead, head out, get some crawfish and some other things that we can add into this pool pond, not only as bait, but also as a way to clean it up. Oh, there's the gar again. I don't know if y'all guys can see him. He's leaning up right there. Don't worry, you'll be seeing a lot of him later on in the video, but for now, it's time for us to go out and start catching our fish. I'm out here in the front yard pond, which you can see is already reinfested with that hydrilla. No matter how many times I come out here and clean it up, it always ends up just as bad as it was before, so I'm kind of giving up on it for now. But I'm dropping in some of this fish food to get the minnows to come up, and then I'm gonna take a net and scoop up some of those minnows. It's really dense, so it's hard to set a minnow trap in here because all the plants just kind of cover it up. So instead, I kind of just drop some fish food, wait about 20-30 minutes for the minnows to be on it, and then come in with a net and scoop them up. So that's what we'll do, to try and add some minnows and a little bit of extra food for the fish. But for the crawfish, we're gonna be setting a trap out in the backyard pond. All right, so here we are in the backyard pond. I've got a fish trap with a bunch of those little fish pellets in it. Hopefully that'll be enough to draw in the crawfish. I'm gonna set it right here in this kind of cleared out area. I'm just gonna let this sit for about 6 to 7 hours, and then I'll come back and grab it and see what we've caught. With this colder weather approaching, the grasshoppers have kind of all migrated away, but I was able to find some little soldier flies, so I'm gonna feed these guys over. It seems like the bluegill and sunfish really enjoy all kinds of different insects, but the soldier flies were something that they were kind of hesitant to at first, but once they got a taste for it, they absolutely tore it up. I actually got to catch 2 of them eating at the exact same time, which was pretty cool, and you can see that red-spotted sunfish was not wanting to share. As the weather keeps getting a little bit colder, the fish are not quite as active, so I'm not getting them to jump quite as high as they used to, but that's okay. I am still able to get them to come eat straight out of my hand. I think it's going to be really cool to see how the fish behavior changes as the weather does too. We just had a cold front kind of move through, so it's about 20 degrees cooler than it has been the past few weeks, and that's making these fish very sluggish, so they're not nearly as aggressive as they used to be. Now that I've started to feed them, they're getting a little bit more active, but these guys are super slow compared to how they used to be, and I have a feeling that's how it's going to continue to go as we get closer and closer to winter. One awesome thing about the winter is that there's not going to be nearly as much algae growth because of the cold weather, and that's a really good thing. Also, it's going to give all of those cleanup critters a chance to finally catch up on all this algae that's on the wall of the pool and on some of the different driftwood structures and rocks. Less algae also means that in the winter months, the pool pond should be a whole lot clearer and the underwater footage should be a lot nicer. That also makes it a lot easier to catch some fish in the daytime that I usually can only see at night, like the gar. The only issue is if we don't have a good cleanup crew to eat all these pellets off the floor, it can cause a nutrient spike that's still going to cause algae issues, so we need to get some stuff for that. The main cleanup crew we have right now are the catfish, and we do have some crawfish and shrimp that we've added in previous videos, but they tend to get eaten up pretty quick, and I've never caught any of them in the underwater footage. Even when looking for bait fish on the underside of the floating island, the only thing I was ever able to find is a small red-spotted sunfish. Over here, I set up this driftwood cave system specifically for shrimp to use, but no matter how close I look, I can never see any shrimp that use it. I did, in fact, find one of the green sunfish that likes to use one of the small spots. You'll see him up in a second. He puts his face up next to the camera, so you can tell that he is, in fact, a green sunfish, but none of those small caves at the bottom are holding any crawfish or shrimp like I was hoping they would. I do have a project in mind for a future video, but we'll talk about that in a second. For now, let's go check out the front yard pond and do a little underwater view of that while we have our underwater camera on. I built this pond about a year ago and it has absolutely thrived since then. You can see all the different plants, and this is made specifically for bait fish, as well as we do have a young alligator gar in here. I haven't seen him in this video, but if you want to see him, he's in some previous videos if you look back far enough. And it stays crystal clear. The only problem is it is constantly, absolutely infested by all this hydrilla, which has taken hold of this pond so many times. And no matter how many times I remove it, it always comes back with a vengeance. But it does make for an awesome underwater view. There's a lot of species that I still want to add to the front yard pond and to the pool pond, but let's talk about a few species I can't add. The biggest suggestion I've been getting is to add perch. So yellow perch, they don't live down here. As far as I know, there are no perch species that live native to my area. Now down here, we call bluegill, sunfish, we call all of those perch, but I know they're not technically actually perch. But anyway, so those cannot survive down here. They would survive the winter most likely, but then come spring, they would die. And I don't want to put any fish in here just to have them die. I don't think that that's very kind. I think that's very cruel. So that's one I can't do. We can't do any kind of trout. We can't do any kind of northern fish. So if you're thinking like walleye, if you're thinking pike, like actual pike, not pickerel, those would not survive in here. As much as I would love to add those species, we just don't have them native, and I don't want to add something in here that's just going to die. Another big one, tilapia. I get this comment on every single video I post. Tilapia are actually illegal in my state. The only way you can have one in Louisiana is if you get a permit, and since my land flows off into a major waterway, I really can't have tilapia here. They're highly invasive in our area, and so we really can't have those. So tilapia, unfortunately, as much as I love tilapia, we can't add those to the pool pond. Same goes for things like pleco catfish or any kind of carp, aside from, I think there's like 2 native species of carp that you can keep, which I'm gonna kind of hold off on at least until springtime. Also, the turtle. We wanted to get a turtle, but I don't think it would be smart to get a turtle in the winter time because he's not really gonna have a way to get out of the water and to stay out of the water and stay warm. Usually in the wintertime, turtles will burrow up into the mud, and that's how they kind of survive the wintertime. He wouldn't have access to that in this pond, so I'm not gonna get a turtle until the springtime. But when springtime comes, we are going to be looking to get some turtles. Good news is there are some things we will be able to get in the wintertime, and that's going to be all kinds of bait fish. We're going to hopefully start up a bait fish pool pond. That's something I want to start up within the next month or two. And we've got some other projects like a bog filter and some other things that we had in the old pool pond that I want to bring over to this one. I just got to wait on the materials to come in. So we do still have a lot of plans for the winter time. I am going to be switching a lot of my focus over to hunting while we have hunting season, but that does not mean we're going to stop the pool pond videos. It just means they won't be quite as often because the fish are going to be biting less. They're going to be a lot less active. As you can see, instead of jumping up in the water and attacking my finger, they're kind of a little bit slow right now. And that's just because of these cold temperatures. We also are in a very high pressure system right now. And so that's going to kind of make them a little bit more sluggish. But as the springtime comes along, you'll be seeing a whole lot more pool pond videos. We are going to do a couple updates throughout the next few months. Probably going to be down to just one every month, or maybe even one every 5 or 6 weeks. But we are going to continue this pool pond series. Don't worry. It's just in the wintertime, things slow down a lot, and I don't want to overload this pond. And then come springtime, everything get wiped out because I added too much in the wintertime. So we're going to take it a little bit easy for the wintertime, and then we'll be right back into everything full swing when springtime comes back around. But we will still be doing updates every now and then. Now, with all of that being said, we do have a smaller aquarium that we are building and taking care of in the house. So let me give you a sneak peek on that. Now, this tank is still in progress, but as you can see, we saved one of the pickerel from the last video specifically to grow out in a separate tank. And this is what his tank is going to be. Now, it's still in progress. As you can see, we still got a little bit of sediment that the filter's cleaning out, and he's a little bit shy right now. But we have some awesome feeding footage that you'll be able to see in that video. We also have 2 other species we're going to be adding in this tank. One of them I've already added, but you can't quite see him. He's hiding somewhere, and I don't want to spoil too much. But you can see we've got snails, we've got our pickerel, we've got another species, we've got a plant growing up in the top. All of this will be revealed, the whole project, in a future video. But for now, I just want to give you guys a sneak peek. So even though the wintertime, the fishing's not going to be the best, we do still have projects planned out, and we are still going to be doing some cool aquarium type stuff. So don't worry. The pool pond's not going away. The aquarium build stuff's not going away. Now, with all of that being said, if you guys have some suggestions that you would like to see on the channel, like a different aquarium build or maybe a pool pond idea, please let me know by all means. I'd love to get your input, and I love making videos that you guys want to watch. Oh, he decided to come out for a second. So here's a close look at our pickerel. Now, we don't have a name for him just yet. So if you guys want to put some suggestions, I probably won't do the vote until after this full video comes out. But if y'all want to get some suggestions in right now, if I see one that I really like, then I'll go ahead and pick it in this video. Also, we need to get some name suggestions for the pool pond. I don't know if you guys can see him, but he's hanging out right there. So that is our white crappie, and we've had him in here pretty much since I think it was episode 2 maybe that we added him in. I never asked for a name for him because crappie don't tend to do really well, and to be honest with you, I wasn't sure if he would survive. But he survived like over 2 months at this point, so I think he finally deserves a name. So if you guys could give me some white crappie suggestions, like some name suggestions for him, that would be awesome. And finally, there's this bluegill. So this is a pretty good sized bluegill, and I never asked for a name suggestion for him because when I added him in, we added a few other bluegill as well. But I've kind of taken a few of them out of the pool pond because they were out competing all the other fish. So there's only one regular bluegill left, and we don't have a name suggestion for him. So y'all guys give me some suggestions. I'll pick my favorite one out in the next video. But he's actually very nice. He lets me pet him sometimes. I don't want to get my sleeve. Whew, that water's cold. I don't want to get my sleeve wet, so I'm not going to try and do it. But he's really cool. He's really chill. And I want a good name suggestion for him that kind of reflects his personality. So if you've been watching and you've seen the other episodes, you know he jumps out of the water. He's really cool, and I think he finally deserves a name. Oh, I think this one just tried to eat a pellet. Let me see if I can get him to eat it. Oh, dang it. Yeah, they don't look like they're really wanting to eat it. Oh, he ate it. He ate it. Did he spit it out? Ah, he spat it out. Oh, the other one. No. See, and that's the problem. They'll sit there, chew it up, and spit it out because they want live food. And the only good thing is, I know the catfish at night will probably come out and eat those pellets. I forgot that the last time I fed these guys pellets was before we added a whole bunch of those catfish. So I do think the catfish will go around and eat the scraps as well as the crawfish. But speaking of crawfish, we need to go check that trap. And if we don't have any of the trap, we'll go out to a certain spot to see if we can scoop up some crawfish. But with this cold weather, I don't know how well the crawfish are going to be moving. Usually they move a little bit better in the warmer or more mild months. Right now it's fairly cold for our area, so I don't think they're going to be moving quite as much as they normally would. It's only been a few hours, but I realized this water is not cold at all. Like, I'd swim in that if the air wasn't so cold. But I think that maybe our trap is going to work better overnight, but I am going to check it right now just in case we've already got something. If we don't, we'll leave it overnight and check it again in the morning. Let's see. Probably going to have a few bluegill if I had to guess. Oh yeah, quite a few. Oh, we got some small, like bait-sized ones. That's good. We'll take out whatever we can and feed it to the pool pond, and then we'll throw back all the ones that are a little bit too big. But we definitely got some stuff in there. All right, as you can see, we've got, it looks like probably 2 bluegill that are too big, and then quite a few that are just small enough to be fed to the fish. There we go. Beautiful bluegill. We're gonna throw him back. Another beautiful bluegill. Those were a little bit too big for the pool pond. Oh, turn around, buddy. There you go. But the rest of them in here should be perfect eating size for the bass. Actually, this one's a little bit big, so I'm gonna throw him back. Same goes for this one. He's probably small enough to get eaten by the bass, but we're just gonna throw him back. Look at him go. The water back here has gotten a little bit cleaner. I've added in like some beneficial bacteria and some other things to try and get this water to clear up. The problem is this clay that we have is so fine and it just stays suspended in the water column. And so I don't know if this pond would ever be truly clear. All right, we've got 5 fish to feed into the pool pond, and we've set that thing back out, but we do not have any crawfish yet. All right, there we go. We're gonna go ahead and take these guys over to the pool pond. All right, we're gonna start with the ones that are slightly larger first. Oh, there they go. That way the bass can eat the first ones, and then the smaller ones that are more like the size for like the crappie or something like that. I don't want the bass to eat all of them. I want the crappie down there to at least get that smallest one. So I'm feeding the big ones first. That way it fills up the bass as fast as possible. All right, next somewhat large one. Oh, he got by the bass. You can see him over there. Well, maybe not. I was hoping they'd stay right here so I can get good video of them, but the bass is now eating 2. I'm gonna drop the big one again, see if the bass comes back. If the bass doesn't, then I'm gonna drop that small one and see if we can get our crappie to come up and eat it. All right, they're getting smaller. Ooh. Oh, that's a crappie right there. So that one was a little bit too big for the crappie. But it doesn't look like the bass is swooping in just yet. This guy might actually survive for a couple of days, that would be perfect. That means that we get a little bit more food throughout the days, but it looks like the bass isn't super hungry right now, so we're gonna go ahead and drop the smaller ones in. All right, this one's not that small. I'm waiting to see if that smaller bass comes out, but that one looks like he's getting away scot-free. All right, now this one is most likely gonna be eaten immediately. Oh, look, you can see that white thing in the bass's mouth. That's actually one of the bluegill. It's hard to tell, but the bass has still got a fish in his mouth. But let's see if the crappie eats this one. Oh, no! The bass got it. Dead gum. Look, he's got 2 fish in his mouth now. Look at that. Oh, it's focusing on the surface of the water. Man, he is a pig. So I did post a poll to see if we should remove Hog or keep him in the pool pond, and the majority of people voted to remove him. So I think that we are gonna go ahead and release him into the backyard pond, but I don't know if I wanna do that just yet. We might keep him over the winter time, and then come springtime, we'll release him when we go to add new fish, because as of right now, we're not planning on adding any new species, at least until late wintertime, if we can get a good pickerel. If we get a good pickerel, we'll release him then. If not, we're gonna at least wait until springtime to release him, just because he's not a threat to any of our main fish in here right now. It's just any new fish that we might add. He is gonna try and eat just like he did with these fish we added today. Now, I know a lot of you guys said that Hog's like the star of the show. The problem is, if we have Hog, we will not be able to add any other kind of small fish and actually be able to keep them alive in here. He's just gonna eat them all. In the future, we might do a predator-only pool pond, because I know a lot of you guys have suggested that. But for now, I think we will go ahead and release him into the backyard pond after this winter time. Now, as I was working on this tank, I came in here and noticed some black soldier flies flying around, and that gave me an idea. Instead of a cricket farm, maybe we can make a soldier fly farm. The only issue with that is I probably would also have to wait for springtime, so I'm gonna put that project in my pocket and save it for a future video. Now, a big problem I've been having is trying to find good plants that would survive in the aquatic conditions, and pretty much all I've been able to get is lily pads, the hyacinth over there, and then the hydrilla, which we have a little bit of down here. So what I'm gonna be doing is adding in some of these seeds and hoping that they kind of settle down along the bottom and grow. Now, we don't have mud at the bottom, we only have sand, but I'm hoping that all of this organic matter that's been falling to the bottom will create a medium where these can grow. Also, I do still have this pot over here that used to go to that other lily pad that died off. So maybe some of the seeds will settle in there and grow in that pot. The water's really cold. I'm not about to reach in there and grab that pot. But if they don't grow, then in the springtime, we'll put some new ones out in some pots. So that way we have different grassy areas. I would eventually like to have a good grass bed that's like laying on one section, so that the shrimp and other little bait fish have a place to go where there's a lot of cover, and it's not as open as all of this. And that's kind of been a struggle with any bait fish, is the only spot they really have to go is this driftwood island. And the second they venture away from it, they pretty much get eaten immediately. So the plants that we have are some long hair grass, tiny leaf grass, dwarf hair grass, and big dual leaf. I think I'm just gonna take each pack, sprinkle out a handful of seeds. Hopefully they sink and settle down around the pond in different areas. If they don't grow, worst case scenario, I have already used some of these in that tank, so we'll be able to see those grow up. And I'm gonna put some in the backyard pond as well. But worst case scenario, they don't grow, and I've already kind of got some use out of them. I'm not gonna put all the seeds. I am gonna save some for future projects, but I do think this would be a cool thing to add some biodiversity to the pond. All right, these are all the different types of seeds kind of just mixed together, and I'm just gonna kind of sprinkle it around. I know it's gonna settle on the surface at first, but as you can see, some of them are gonna start to sink, and that's good news. I'm just gonna kind of throw it around. I know the current's gonna drift them around and hopefully get them in some different areas. I'm gonna see if I can maybe mix up the water, get it to settle down somewhere. But if they don't grow, worst case scenario, I just wasted a few seeds. I still have a ton left in those packs. Looks like they're kind of getting caught in this algae and mixing up. Oh, is that slime? Fish eggs! Oh my gosh! I didn't even know there were fish eggs here. Oh, let me put them back. Oh, snap. I thought for a second that was No, that's not fish eggs. That's got to be the, no, those are fish eggs. Okay, yeah, there's fish eggs, and I accidentally mixed up the seeds with them, not knowing that they were there. So that's what's making them stick together. There's fish eggs in here that I didn't even see. Now that I know what to look for, I'm seeing them. Okay, I'm not gonna mix up the water anymore. I don't want to disturb these eggs. That's awesome. I'm gonna mix up over here. No, wait a second. Actually, okay, on second thought, I think that those are just the seeds right there on the surface that I just dropped. They must be mixing up with the algae or something. Or fish slime, I don't know. That's not fish eggs, I don't think. I don't know. They look like fish eggs, but they're also, they look like those small seeds I just added. So, I don't know. They might be fish eggs, they might be seeds. At this point, I don't know. It might have just been mixing up with some of the algae and sticking together. Yeah, now that I look at the seeds, I think what I was thinking were the eggs were actually just these seeds. And when I mixed them in the water, they were clumping up. Yeah, that's what it was. They're kind of clumping up with some algae. And so now they look like fish eggs, but they are just seeds. So I guess there's just some string algae that's kind of clumping them together. Hopefully they disperse. Not fish eggs, unfortunately. I really thought they were, and that would have been really cool if they were. But it also doesn't make much sense for the fish eggs to be floating. Most of the time, they kind of attach them to grasses and different things like that, which is another reason why we need more plants, so they have places to lay their eggs. We've got a whole bunch of these seeds. We still saved a whole lot of them, but we're gonna throw these out around the pond, and hopefully they settle out and find different places to colonize. All we've got out here is this plant, which is invasive, and I'm gonna have to come out here and remove some of it later in the season, maybe whenever it starts to die off in wintertime. We've got a few lily pads that we added, and then we've also got that hyacinth. Now, I don't want to add the hydrilla that we have in the front yard pond. Even though it cleans it out really well, it absolutely takes over, and I do not want this pond to be completely taken over. I just want some more biodiversity, and it'll help clean up the water a little bit. So hopefully these seeds will help with that, along with the new plants we have added in the past. I'm just gonna kind of throw it out, let it kind of settle around where it wants to. Now, this plant we actually added in a previous video, and it's doing pretty well. It's flowering up right now. Hopefully that'll spread a little bit more. That's not really so much as an underwater plant as it is one that likes to grow along the banks. And unfortunately, it does not look like our lily pads survived. They did do well for a little while, but I think this cold is starting to kill them off, just like it did in the pool pond. And so we used to have 2 lily pads over here, and they're no longer here. So lily pads did not survive, unfortunately. Hopefully these guys do a lot better. Just kind of throwing this around. I know the wind will disperse it around. Eventually it'll sink down. Now this clay should be perfect for growing these plants. So as soon as they settle in, they should be able to take root. It's not going to be like in the pool pond where they only have sand to settle in. There we go. And that should hopefully add some new plants within the next few months. Now I am seeing a whole lot of this. Those are actually crawfish holes. And the fact that they're all muddy right now tells me a crawfish was just in it and shot back. You can see we got a crawfish hole right there and right there. So tonight we'll come out here with a spotlight and a net and see if we can catch some of them while they're out and about. But most of the time, those crawfish aren't going to be moving nearly as much in the daytime as they do at night. Ooh. And that little bright thing right there is one of those freshwater mussels. We have added a few of those to the pool pond. Usually you don't see them in the daytime footage, but you will see them in the nighttime footage. And those guys are super good at helping clean up the water. See those little trails? Those are actually from those freshwater mussels moving around, or freshwater clams. I don't know exactly what they're called. But anyways, they'll move around with a little tongue or foot or whatever you want to call it, and it leaves those little trails. So you'll find several of those. When I started this pond, I threw in a couple itty bitty, like that big, teeny tiny ones, and they've all grown up and reproduced, and so I get plenty of those guys from in here, and I've put several of them into the pool pond already. Just looking down and around, that's a crawfish hole, that's a crawfish hole, that's a crawfish hole. This one's a fresh crawfish hole. It's still wet on the sides. So we got a lot of crawfish movement. We did have a big rainstorm come through the last couple of days, so that's probably getting them a little bit more active. But I'm really hoping tonight we can get at least a couple dozen. That way they don't get eaten immediately and they can help clean up the pool pond. On the way back from the backyard pond, I was actually able to find one straggler of a grasshopper. Most of the guys have migrated away by now, but this guy was a perfect snack for my red-spotted sunfish. And at this point, all that was left was to wait. All right. We are out here in the backyard pond late at night. I'm hoping to see some crawfish kind of swimming around in these shallow areas. That way I can scoop them up and put them in the pool pond. A lot of times late at night, they'll kind of crawl up on all this vegetation and you can see them up close to the surface. So that's what we're looking for. I did a full circle all the way around the pond, but only saw one crawfish, which I ended up missing. So we're gonna skip ahead to checking the fish trap. Let's check our trap, and then I guess if we don't have any crawfish in here, we'll just have to save that, I guess, for the next episode. All right, let's see. Oh, I feel something big. There's something big in there. I can't tell what it is. Is that a catfish? I think that's a catfish. Yep, that's a catfish. Oh, that's not a bullhead, I don't think. That might be a bullhead. I don't know, though. The face looks a little bit different. Y'all let me know, is this a bullhead or is this like a channel cat or blue cat? I don't know. We're going to release it. Don't want it to sting me. What are you doing there, dude? Go. So that's not great. That means we probably don't have any crawfish. We caught a catfish in the trap, but not the crawfish we were after. But I think it's safe to say we'll have to save the crawfish for next time. I think that just cold conditions are not great. Maybe we can find another place that's got a lot more crawfish in it, but this spot's just not paying off. But we didn't come out here for nothing, because on the way back, I ran into an old friend of mine. Hello, sir. May I help you? God, that's a big possum. We're just chasing him down. Giving him some exercise. That boy fat. Hey, fella. Hey, I don't mean you no harm. Hey. Hey. Where are you going? Jeez, that's a big one. That's a big male if I'm not mistaken. Hey. Hey, fella. I'm not meaning you any harm. You gonna climb? Golly, you are fat. You are fat. Look at the fangs on that dude, too. Jeez. Hey, buddy. I'm not trying to hurt you, I promise. I know I'm probably blinding you a little bit, but... Cool thing is, possums are usually fairly docile. They'll, like, snarl at you a little bit, but they usually don't bite. We'll see if this guy's nice. Yeah. Yeah. Look, he looks scary, but I'm just scratching his back. Yeah. Yeah, he's a good possum. Who's a good possum? You are. You are. Oh, you goo. Look, watch. I could probably... Now, he may make a liar out of me, but I could probably scratch his face. Look at that. I'm scratching on his ears and his face. They will sit there and they'll play dead, but they almost never actually bite. They're very docile. They just look really mean. And this guy is a beautiful specimen. Look at that little smile he's giving me. Look at that little smile. Hey, buddy. If you'd let me get a little closer, I'd try to pet him, but he does not look like he wants to get me any closer. I believe he's probably trying to get into my yard. I've been having a little bandit come through and steal dog food at night, and I think this is probably one of them, especially with the size of him. He's definitely not been going hungry. So he's probably, yep. Ah, so that's how you've been getting into my fence. Huh. Huh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Oh, I'm scratching your back. Look at those fangs on him. Come here. Hey, why are you climbing away from me? I'm trying to pet you. May not have caught our crawfish, but we got a glimpse at one of Louisiana's coolest critters. This is North America's only marsupial. So related kind of like kangaroos and wallabies and stuff like that. And they actually carry their babies in a pouch. So, cool little fella. Let me see if I can get a good zoom in on him. You can see he's got those big fangs. And even though they got those sharp teeth, they're super, super sweet and docile for the most part. This guy's a little bit scared, but even when I was poking him and petting him, he never tried to bite me. Oh my. I'm in the tree with him. There you go. See? I'm sweet. Now, don't attack me because I am in this tree now. But look, I'm sweet. I'm just giving you booty scratches. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. See, that's good. See? I just give you booty scratches. I just give you booty scratches. Oh, don't put that head towards me. All right, let me climb out of this tree. Oh, goodness. Oh. Okay. All right. Okay. Booty scratches have been administered. I think we've maybe scared him a little bit. All right, we were able to give him some booty scratches, so I'm gonna let him live up there and kind of calm down a little bit. But I always love getting a nice little possum. This guy is fat. That is an absolute specimen of a possum. And you can see he's starting to drool a little bit. Not sure if that's because he's getting ready to flare up at me or what. But man, very healthy specimen. Probably the dog food thief if I had to guess. But he's up there, gonna chill out. He's probably gonna come down and eat some dog food later tonight. All right here, I've got a sardine that I put on a stick. And I wanna give him a little offering since I kind of messed with him for a little bit. We'll see if I can get him to eat it. Oh, smell that? Smell it? You smell it? Oh, I was able to set the sardine in front of him. It's in that tree. Okay, my next sardine. Well, he might be a little bit spooked. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pour out all these sardines right here. As soon as I leave and he feels comfortable, he will eat that sardine up there and he will probably eat this whole can. So I'm gonna dump the can out somewhere right here so he can go back and eat it. And we're gonna go inside, get our underwater rig set up, and then we'll do some nighttime underwater footage. We actually might save one sardine to try and feed to the Amphiuma, so I'll do that. But the rest of them will go to this fat guy. So I went ahead and took another piece of sardine on a stick and tried to use it to bring out the Amphiuma because I know that it absolutely loves stinky fish. And we're gonna see if we can get him to come down. It only took about 30 seconds before I finally started to see some movement and he started to go down and inspect it, but it was very slow moving. It took a while for him to come up to it, and then that's when the fish started messing with me. Once the red spots started getting their bites, it scared off the Amphiuma for a little bit, so I decided to take it off the stick and lay it on the ground for a little while to make the Amphiuma a little bit more comfortable. Once I got it off the stick, I went around the pond to take a look at all the other nighttime critters that move around in the pool pond. Even though it was pretty cold tonight, a lot of the fish were very active. The red spots, of course, were eating their bites of sardine. This one was biting off a whole lot more than he could chew and kind of just tearing it apart. I was kind of impressed at how vicious these guys were even at night, but let's take a look at some of the other fish. In the middle section, we have gargoyle. I tried to feed him a little bit of sardine, but I could never get him to come closer, so I just wasn't able to get that. I will get him eating on camera at some point. It's just very difficult because he's very shy. And speaking of shy fish, this catfish was running away from the camera, and I think it's because he knew I was about to fat shame him. This is the fattest catfish I think I've ever seen. It almost looks pregnant, and I think it's because it was chowing down on all of those food pellets, and its belly was bulging out. I kept chasing him around with the camera, trying to get a good still view of him, but he was bobbing and weaving all over the place. But even when he's moving, you can see that big old fat belly of his. So these guys are eating really well, and I think he has been eating all those pellets that settled on the ground. But as I passed by the crate, I noticed that the Amphiuma was moving, so I went back to see if it was taking the bait yet. So far, the only thing I've successfully been able to feed him is a worm. He tried shrimp, but he wasn't a huge fan of it, so seeing him start to take little bites of the sardine was a very good sign. The only problem was it was kind of hard for him to get his mouth around it. I think it might have just been a little bit big for him. So every time he tried to bite it, it ended up just kind of moving it off to the side. And it was hard for him to get his jaw underneath it. So as you can see, he kind of nibbles on it a little bit, but he's never able to really get a full grasp on it. And so it's kind of funny watching him eat and try to wiggle this thing around in his mouth and just not fully being able to grab it. It's really cool to see how they attack different types of prey. Like for this, obviously dead sardine, he's very slow and methodical with it, but when we gave him a worm, he just like slurped it down really quickly. So I think that they know when something is dead versus when something is alive, and they change their feeding habits to reflect that. I was sitting still with the camera for about 5 minutes before he finally was able to get a bite that grabbed it and got a good grip on it. Now the challenge was going to be to rip it enough to where he can actually swallow it, and instead of chewing on it out in the open, he decided to pull it back into his lair. The only problem was all this commotion had drawn back in the red-spotted sunfish, who decided he was going to join the Amphiuma for his little feast. I wonder if all the fish see these red spots as like the annoying little brother who's constantly just stealing your food, or if they just tolerate each other. I don't know. To me, it seems really annoying that every time any of these fish try to eat, those red spots are right there trying to pick everything out of their mouth. I hope that we can add a fish someday that'll actually mess with these red spots as much as they mess with all the other fish. Today's scripture comes from Ephesians 5:8, and it says, "You were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord, so live your life as children of light." I hope you guys have an amazing week and keep the Lord with you always. If you like this video, consider dropping a like on it and subscribing if you haven't already. I thank you guys so much for all the support you've given me. You guys make everything possible. We've got a lot of projects in the works for you guys, and I know you guys are going to love them. So I'll catch you guys in the next video, and as always, Jesus loves you, I love you, and have a great day.